Hare Krishna, am I audible to the online
Hare,
devotees?
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, you are audible.
Yes, you are
Audible.
audible.
Great.
Hare Krishna. Dandat pranam.
Dandat pranam Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Yes, you are audible. Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Danut Pranam Prabhu.
Danut Danutnam. So we'll begin with prayers. Om Agyantimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातान् सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा। हरे कृष्ण। So welcome back after a long break, 2 weeks. So कौन सा कोर्स का नाम क्या है? याद है? याद नहीं है। क्या शक्ति भाकरी?
Bhakti Shastri.
हाँ sorry, भक्ति शास्त्री। And which book are we reading, discussing?
Shri Ishopanishad.
अरे हाँ, श्री इशोपनिषद, बराबर याद है। Good, at least this much we remember. मतलब passing marks तो आ गया। रायण अल्प आयुष सभ्य मंद कलो अस्मिन् युगे जना मंद सुमंद मतयो मंद भाग्य पारद। इतना भी मंद भाग्य और इतना मंद मेमोरी नहीं है हमारा, हमें याद है। But the thing is that we have forgotten who we ourselves are. मैं कौन हूँ वो भूल गया, अभी क्या पढ़ रहे हैं वो याद है कि नहीं. That's the secondary thing, but we have forgotten who we are. There can't be a greater degree of forgetfulness than forgetting who actually I am and I am supposed to be. And we have forgotten it so superlatively that even if someone tells us real identity, we think they are mad. Right? These Hare Krishnas are mad. What they are talking of doesn't make sense. So, yes, that's what we are supposed to remember. Remember our real constitutional position and remember the Lord. Smartavya satata Vishnu Vismartavyam na jatachit Sarva vidhi nishedyakhyu etayor eva kinkaraha. What does that mean? Smartavya satatam Vishnu. Always remember Krishna. Vismartavya na jatuchit. Never forget Krishna. Vismriti kabhi na hone paye. Sarva vidhi nishedha. Vidhi means do's, nished means don't. All do's and don'ts are meant to arrive at this single conclusion. Etayor eva kinkara. Everything else is a subordinate principle, subservient rule to always remembering Krishna. So often people say that, oh, spirituality means there are so many rules and regulations. They tell us what to do, what not to do. So it's quite legislative in nature. But no, the Shastra is very clear. The rules are just guiding rails so that we reach the destination. The rules are not the goal in itself. The rules are just tracks to give us direction. So the entire Bhakti Shastri studies, classes, exam, all of that is meant so that we can remember Krishna. Right? So if we forget Krishna in remembering the exam, then we have lost the purpose of it. Yes. So of course we have to remember Krishna and what Krishna has taught, both. That's why we have to remember Krishna, and remembering Krishna means what he has taught. And that is Ishopanishad. So there's no easy way out. So let's begin with our discussion, continuing to the last section of Ishopanishad. So yes, we have covered a lot of ground in the discussion on Ishopanishad. We began with the introduction of Ishopanishad, which was a lecture given by Srila Prabhupada in London, I guess, and which primarily spoke about what are the medium of obtaining knowledge. What are the three primary medium of obtaining knowledge? नितिन बोल रहा था कि उसने पढ़ लिया है, नहीं अभी तक 10 वर्सेस 10 वर्सेस कर लिया ना, नहीं? So what are the mediums for obtaining knowledge?
ज्ञानेन्द्रिय.
ओके, बैक टू, चलो इतना ईशोपनिषद तक सब सही बताया अभी. There are three pramanas
Pratyaksha Anuman.
Pratyaksha, Anuman and Shabda.
Shabda.
They are the three mediums of by which people arrive at some knowledge. Pratyaksha Pramana by seeing, by direct observation through our Gyan Indriyas, the five Gyan Indriyas, knowledge acquiring senses. So those knowledge acquiring senses, they interact with the visible world, the tangible world. But then whatever tangible inputs that we get in the past, in the present, the mind and the intelligence, they kind of mix all of them to create an anuman, an interpolation, extrapolation, right? So that is the anuman praman. So basically, shabda praman, the pratyaksha praman is basically what the tangible portion of what we can acquire with our defective senses. That's what we saw. That the senses are very defective, all the senses. And I showed you different images and proofs by which we saw that how we have a tendency to get illusion, right? You remember some of them कि which कौन से century का picture है वो cars का आप बोले 18th century 17th century, then it was like basically toy cars. So our senses are defective, right? So then we discussed about Shabda Praman. Shabda Praman means Vedas. The Vedas means the entire body of knowledge given by the Lord. And within the Vedas, there are Shrutis and Smritis. Shrutis which are heard and Smritis which are remembered. Like Shrutis are direct, the word of God, and Smriti is the explanation and the further expansion done by the sages, based on their realizations on the knowledge given by God. So Shrutis and Smritis, and then in that detailed chart, you remember that we discussed, that was in the introduction, and then we further went to the first verse, Om Purnamadam Purnamidam. From that we derived the three principles, philosophical axioms for how do we define absolute truth. That you may have your version of unraveling the puzzle of the universe, and I may have mine. You may call it Christianity, they may call it Islam, someone may call it Shintoism, someone may call it Buddhism, someone may call it atheism, someone may call it Big Bang. So different people have different theories of explaining how everything exists, right? But then, are there any criteria and parameters by which we see that does it holistically represent the creation? Our entire experience of the world and the experience of the world, right? And for that, we saw that Ishopanishad gives the absolute truths must have these three characteristics. Om Purnamidam must be complete. They can't be anything outside of it. If you leave even one factor outside of it, there's, basically that's not the absolute. The definition of absolute is everything must be, incorporated within that. So people, the scientists, they are trying to explain everything through, matter and energy, space, time, right? And everything explodes from nothing. But where does nothing come from? Right? Or nothing, the way they define. So basically there are many, many loopholes. Where does time come from? From that infinitesimal point, everything exploded, but then time kaise aaya? All of those things. So Om Purnamada must be perfect and complete. And everything coming out from that Lord must be perfect and complete. Otherwise, product mein defect hai, to manufacturer mein defect hai. Then the third thing is, even after producing all of these perfect and complete things, he still remains perfect. It's not that he has produced, so now he has lost his own identity or his own sense of fullness. And which means that the absolute must have the personal feature and the impersonal feature both. That we discussed, right? Remember? Yes? The Dvaita and Advaita. We saw the merits of the Dvaita and the merits of the Advaita, the demerits of the Dvaita, and then we saw that absolute must contain all those. The Dvaita and the Advaita principle. Okay, so moving on, then we saw that if we, the first section, the application, that if you understand that there is the Supreme Absolute Personality who is the source of everything, which means things don't belong to me. Yeah, Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam Sarvaloka Maha Ishwaram. There's a Maha Ishwar. So when there is that Ishwar, he is a proprietor and controller. So if I lay claim over something, I am a thief. You remember the paradox of money that we discussed, that the money in circulation, the paper currency in circulation is $7 trillion. But if you add up everyone's bank accounts and investments, they will come up to $1.6 quadrillion. The money which everyone thinks they have is $1.6 quadrillion. But the actual paper is 7 trillion. So if all of us go and withdraw our money, just 1 out of 50 people will get. So whatever money we have is just paper. And then that paper is also not real, because that paper is issued in lieu of gold, right? Which is also like not there to that quantity. So basically, and that over that people are laying claim. So we discussed that how everything belongs to the Lord, and the one who lives by this principle, using only that which is meant for them, for their quota, not encroaching on others, they can live happily ever after. Right? So that was the first section. The second section we discussed was how do we understand this absolute truth in more detail. So then it was about understood by spiritual vision. So Ishopanishad gives a lot of contradictory statements. Tanne jati, he goes, he doesn't go. Tad dure tattwantike, he's far, yes, he's near. He is situated in one place, yet he is everywhere. So all of those paradoxical statements are given to drill it in our dull heads that, look, you cannot understand that absolute by the same parameters by which you measure this world. You can't measure the Lord with your defective senses. So all of those contradictions can be resolved in the absolute truth, because he is the source of everything. So that spiritual vision is given. Then the third section, okay, now I want to understand that Lord. So the Sambandha Gyan, right and wrong Vidya for understanding the Ishwar. So the concept of Vidya and Avidya discuss that Vidya leads to Avidya leads to one form of ignorance, and Vidya leads to a greater type of ignorance. So what does that mean? That there are 3 types of Vidya which are even deadlier than Avidya. What are the 3 types?
Scientist and then Mayavadi.
Scientists, Mayavadis, our favorite boxing bag, and Karmakandi, ritualistic Brahmanas. So these are the 3 based on who profess to know, to have knowledge, but their knowledge is more detrimental to advancement of spiritual realization. So Vidya and Avidya were discussed. Then after that, in the 4th section that we have been discussing, the Upasana, the right and the wrong Upasana. So Vidya and Avidya, in that the 3rd last verse of that section was that when you study Vidya and Avidya together, then you gain perfect knowledge. What does that mean? That the path of karma and path of jnana. So they are always at opposing banks. But then it is bhakti which synergizes both karma and jnana, right? So karma means you have to be attached. You get attached to the work and to the fruits of the work. So you are completely overwhelmed by the action and the fruits of action. The path of jnana, when there is bhoga and then there is frustration, there is tyag, which you want nothing to do with this world. So that is the path of jnana. But then that also is denying the reality, throwing out the baby with the bathwater, right? So the path of bhakti, it actually synergizes both karma and jnana, and it utilizes everything for the higher purpose, right? So in the path of bhakti, even so-called, we see everything can be utilized in Krishna's service. Even the technology can be utilized in Krishna's service. So we may consider that the ugra karma, which is there in terms of modern technology. So even that, even social media, which is avidya in the true sense, but even social media can be utilized in Krishna's service, right? So so that is avidya and avidya. Then the upasana, the right and the wrong, upasana, sambhuti, asambhuti. So there we discussed about sambhuti, which is having existence, true existence, and asambhuti, which does not have any true factual existence, right? So the devatas, there's a post, and that post, every manvantra, there is re-election. A new personality comes and occupies that post, and at the end of the Brahma's day, even that post is dissolved. Parliament is dissolved for a complete 4.32 what is that, 432 billion years. So it is, the entire posts are dissolved. So it doesn't have any eternal existence. So the worship of the devatas in that sense is asambhuti. Whereas the worship of the Supreme Lord is the real, permanent, eternal worship. But in this, the other understanding of Sambhuti is impersonal, or the Mayavadi understanding, the worship of the impersonal aspect of the Lord. So that through the Mayavad philosophy, it takes one to a greater kind of ignorance than even demigod worship, right? So these are things that we discussed. So now we are going to the final section, the last section of Ishopanishad, which is about prayojan. Sambandha is the third section, fourth section is upasana, the videya, and the fifth section is prayojan. So it has these 4 verses. The first 2 verses, basically here, the devotee is asking the Lord that take me beyond your impersonal realization to your personal realization. And then once one comes in face to face with the Lord, one is praying to remove all the obstacles so that I can come to you, to your eternal shelter. Right? So this is the gist of this entire section. Let's recite the verse. Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapi hitam mukham
सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखम्
तत्त्वं पुष्यन् अपावृणु
तत्त्वं पुरुषम् अपावृणु
सत्यधर्माय दृश्यते
सत्यधर्माय दृश्यते
हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण
हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण
सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखम्
सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखम्
तत्त्वं पुष्यन् अपावृणु
तत्त्वं
तत्त्वं
पुष्टम्
पुष्टम्
अपावृणु
सत्य धर्माय दृश्यत दिष्टये
सत्यधर्माय
सत्यधर्माय दृष्टे
हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण
हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण
सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखम्
सत्यस्याप्तं मुखम्
तत्त्वं पूषन् अपावृणु
तत्त्वं पूषन्नपावृणु
सत्यधर्माय दृष्टये
सत्यधर्माय दृष्टे
Okay, so here is the word for word translation. Hiranmayena. Hiranya means gold. So the golden effulgence of the Lord. Patrena. So is patra means that which is covering. In here the context, patra means that which is covering. So by your dazzling this golden effulgence, what is being covered? Satyasya. The supreme truth is being covered by this golden effulgence. Apihitam, again, it is covered. Mukham, the face of yourself. Apka, your face is covered. So Pushan. So now the Lord is being addressed with different names. Pushan here is O sustainer. Apavranu means kindly remove. Satya, pure, dharmaya, unto the devotee, drishtaye, so that I can see you. So the devotee is desiring and praying to the Lord that please remove the golden effulgence which is covering your form so that I can see you face to face. So that is the prayer of the devotee here. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, Pushan. जो पोषण करते हैं वो है पूषण. Your real face, Tvam Mukham Apihitam, is covered by your dazzling effulgence, Hiranmayena Patrena.
ठीक है बेटा.
Kindly mute yourself. Anup, if everyone can mute themselves. So kindly remove apavranu, that covering, and exhibit drishtaye, yourself to your pure devotee, Satya Dharmaya, who is following the pure path of devotional service. So that it's clear, your face is covered by your dazzling effulgence, so remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. So in the purport, there are 10 paragraphs, quite elaborate purport. So Prabhupada speaks about in the first paragraph, Pushan, the understanding that Lord is the basis of Brahman and Paramatma. So I think he quotes this verse, Brahmano hi pratishtaham. In the 14th chapter, this verse comes in the Gita, that I am the foundation and the basis of the impersonal Brahman. So Lord is the basis of the Brahman and the Paramatma, who are the basis and sustainer of this material world. So Lord Krishna is the basis of even the Brahman and the Paramatma, who are the basis and sustainer of this material world. Right? So that is described and Satya Dharmaya Drishtaye. So how Krishna reveals himself beyond the Brahman. So basically Krishna through his Naam, Rupa, Guna and Leela reveals to his devotees. Iti driksvalilabhirananda kunde swagosham nimajantam akyapayantam tadiyeshitagnishu bhaktirjitatvam punah prematastam shata vrittivandi. So the third verse of the Damodarashtakam, it says Krishna is manifesting, is advertising to those who are enamored and overwhelmed by the Lord's greatness, all the Lord's Aishwarya, to get attracted to his sweetness, the sweetness of his intimate loving pastimes with his devotees. So Krishna is advertising. Krishna's advertisement for one full month. He has occupied prime space and prime time. The entire month he is advertising that you look, there can't be a more happy situation than this. You want to control things in this world? I am the controller of all controllers who control things in this world. But here I am giving an opportunity for you to control me. So Krishna is just advertising that these are my Naam, Rupa, Guna and Leela. So get attracted to them. So Prabhupada speaks about the Vrindavan pastimes in there. And then the last 5 paragraphs, and where it is discussed that how that ultimate revelation of Bhagavan comes only by bhakti. So Prabhupada talks about jnana realization, yoga realization, and the bhakti realization. So jnana realization can take one to the impersonal Brahman realization. Yoga can take one to Paramatma realization, but only bhakti can take one to Bhagavan realization. Okay, so now the question which arises here, we see again and again, like the devotee is saying that please remove this golden effulgence which is covering you so that I can see your face, I can see you. So almost all of spirituality or transcendence is about realizing Brahman or realizing that spiritual reality which is non-dual in nature. There's duality in this world. We are suffering from the dualities of this world. Everything, there is duality. There's pain, there's pleasure, then there's pain, there's happiness, there's distress, there is day, there is night. So there are two sides of the coin. So almost all of spirituality is basically trying to explore how to go beyond these dualities, how to attain the sense of oneness, the sense of impersonal liberation, Brahma Jyoti, right? But here it is said that the devotee wants to go beyond this effulgence. So what we understand as Brahma Jyoti, what people say that the absolute truth is a light. Yes, they have understood one aspect of it. The most the first preliminary aspect of the absolute truth which can be accessed is the Brahman realization. The preliminary, the beginning of spiritual realization, the Brahman realization, and that is nothing but the Yasya Prabha Prabhavo Jagat Anda Kotin Kotishu Ashesha Vasudhadi Bhuti Bhinna. So this entire material and spiritual universes are created through the Brahman effulgence, through the transcendental effulgence of Krishna. So Bhagavan का जो देदीप्यमान तेज है, the bodily effulgence, that effulgence is basically the Brahma Jyoti, which is the basis of all spiritual and material existence. Right? So here the devotee is asking, oh Lord, please remove this Brahman effulgence so that I can see the real you. So the question is, while the rest of the spiritual, so-called spiritual or organizations or sects, they are trying to find out that impersonal absolute truth, that light beyond all darkness. And here we are saying remove that light. So are we in darkness? Because our experience is light reveals. Why are we asking, why is the devotee asking to remove the light?
Because we want to connect with Krishna personally, with person as a person, because personal realization of Krishna is an highest realization.
Yes, so we have directly come to the conclusion, but in general, our intuitive understanding is light reveals. Light does not conceive. Do we all agree? अगर आपको कुछ, you want to know about something, see something, you need light. Throw some light, yeah. Throw some light on the subject. Now here it is being spoken, remove the light. So
This is
Because light is too much.
It's like
no.
the sun. It's like the
This
sun rays, which is too intense. So you can't look at the sun straight away.
oh
you
wow. So
so
you got my next slide. So
Prabhuji, after getting knowledge, we want to know that person who is holding that light. So,
yes. Yeah, so in general, the perception is that to know about anything you need light. But Ishopanishad doesn't give things so, in such a straightforward way. By default, intuitively, to know about things you need light. But then Ishopanishad gives you the other perspective also. Sometimes light can conceal. Generally, light reveals. Generally, knowledge reveals. But then sometimes knowledge can hide also. Right? So that is what. So as Mataji said, that sometimes the sun's rays are too intense, and you look at the sun, and then if you look at anything, you are unable to see anything. Everywhere that your eyes have been completely, scorched by that strong, luminosity, you can't see anything, right? So yes, the Brahman effulgence feature of the Lord is so prominent and so overwhelming for a layman in spirituality, in transcendence, that they can get overwhelmed and not go beyond it. Right? Like this, you need sunscreen because you can't see the road because of the sun. The sun is supposed to show you the road, right? But then if sun comes right in your eyes, right in your face, you can't see. So you have to have a shade, sunscreen. So we have, even in our commonplace day-to-day experience, we see that in general light reveals. In general, light, helps you see things, but actually light can also be an impediment, an obstacle, if it is too overwhelming. Yes.
blinded by light.
Blinded by light. Yeah, all the English phrases and idioms are coming. Blinded by light, throw some light, but then we can also become blinded by light. Another instance which happens, ये charging नहीं हो रहा है थोड़ा सा. So another instance is when you are in the dark for a long time, अगर कोई अचानक से सवेरे लाइट जला देते हैं, the brightest light, immediately you can't see anything, isn't it? Okay. Yes. Yes. So suddenly, if you are coming out of the dark and you suddenly see a strong light, immediately you become blinded. Yes. So our situation is like that. A soul which has been in ignorance of one's own constitutional nature, when they first begin their journey towards spirituality, when they they try to come out of that cave of ignorance, and the first beam of light that comes, it blinds them. Something like this. The first, the window is open, and from that slit, that beam of light comes. You can't, withstand that. So that is why you see that people, they just conclude that the absolute truth, we have just next door we have Brahma Kumaris who meditate on light, and there are so many other spiritual organizations. So that is that one light. So tube light. So That's the reason, because while you are coming out of that darkness, the first thing, that first beam of light, it overwhelms you and you feel that there's nothing beyond this. But then when you start, you get accustomed to that light, then you start seeing that actually there's a whole new world outside. Initially you feel that this cave is dark and the outside world is just unbearable, intense light, and you don't see any differentiation there. Can you see any differentiation when you are suddenly exposed to a strong beam of light? No, you just feel everything is chakachand ho jate hain. But then as your retina gets adjusted, you start seeing varieties. There are plants, there are trees, there are birds, there's a sky. All of these things you start seeing once you get adjusted and accustomed. So yes, similarly on the path of spiritual realization, the first encounter of spiritual exposure may make one feel that the absolute reality is just some light and there's nothing beyond it. There's no variety there. But then as one gets exposed more and more, goes out of that cave and remains in that light for some time, one will realize that this light is just, the beginning. And then there's an entire world outside, right? Which is revealed gradually. Another thing we can draw is that the light of God's greatness can also, make one so overwhelmed that one may not be able to go near. So Prabhupada would say that all the religions, they are saying God is great, but no one is telling how God is great. But we have the details of how exactly God is great. Then Lord has created this, let there be sound, there was sound, let there be light, there was light. But then Prabhupada said, no, we have the entire process of how the 24 elements were manifested, how from the Pradhan, Lord glanced, then it became Ahankar, and from that the 5 elements and the Tanmatras manifested, the Rajasic Ahankar, the Tamasic Ahankar, and the Sattvic Ahankar manifested. From the from the Tamasic Ahankar, the Sabda Sparsha Rupa Rasa Gandha along with Bhumi, Apo, Analo, Vayu, Kham, they manifested. And then from the Rajasic Ahankar, the Indriyas, the senses and intelligence, they manifested. From the Sattvic Ahankar, the mind and the Devatas, sense Devatas, they manifested. So the entire creation in detail has been described, right, about how God is great. But even after the explanation of how the Lord Mahavishnu, from whose pores universes are coming out, millions of universes are coming out from his breathing and his pores of his body. That is how great he is. So greatness की बात करने जा रहे हैं, तो we don't just say God is great. We have Puranas and volumes and volumes to tell how God is great. So as Mahavishnu, he is, he's exhaling universes. So just as we exhale, small bacteria, viruses, he's exhaling universes. And within each of those universes, he enters as Garbhodakshai Vishnu and enlivens that universe. And that universe is still like, Brahmaji creates all of those different 14 planetary systems, but then everything comes alive when Shirodakshai Vishnu, the Paramatma, he enters each and every atom of the creation and every body which Brahmaji creates. Unless Lord Shirodakshai Vishnu enters, the Atma doesn't have the power to, मतलब चाबी तो उनके पास में ना, हम तो पैसेंजर हैं. We are simply the passengers of the vehicle. So driver is Krishna, he has the key. We are just sitting in the vehicle. So unless Krishna ignites the ignition, we can't live. So we know about the greatness of God, but despite knowing the greatness of God, there's even much more to know. And that is the sweetness of God. And to know about the sweetness of God, one has to, in one sense, forget the greatness of God. The Vrajavasis, for them to actually experience that intimate loving exchanges where Yashoda feels that I need to protect Krishna. That when there's a thunder and lightning in the sky, he becomes scared and starts, just clutches me tightly. So he's very afraid. I need to give him protection. Or when, the cows and the monkey's teeth and the cow's horns, he may get hurt. So she feels that she needs to protect Krishna. Even though she is seeing so many pastimes where Krishna is killing demons, Krishna is lifting the Govardhan, she still feels that, oh, I need to massage his finger. Might be hurting. So actually to experience the intimate loving pastimes of Krishna, that greatness, if one is overwhelmed by the greatness, one can't experience that sweetness. So in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, we have been given access to both the greatness, and despite knowing the greatness, we have been given access to the sweetness of the Lord. But because we have been oriented that actually the highest form of worship, Aradhya Bhagwan Vrajesh Tanaya. So amongst all the deities or forms to be worshipped, the topmost is Vrajesh Tanaya, the son of Nanda Maharaj. Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajesh Tanaya. Where to worship Krishna? Whom to worship? Krishna. Nanda Maharaj's son, Nandalal. Where to worship Krishna? In Vrindavan. Right? So you can worship Krishna in Mathura, in Dwarka, but no, in Vrindavan. Why in Vrindavan? Because in Vrindavan, Krishna seizes, or Krishna takes the role of being controlled by his devotees. And Tadhama Vrindavana Ramyat Kanchit Upasana Vrajavatu. And how to worship Krishna? Following in the footsteps of the gopis of Vrindavan. And so this is another way by which we see that one aspect is when someone just enters the spiritual or transcendental arena, one is overwhelmed by the impersonal Brahman realization, the Brahma Jyoti. But then those who stay in that for a certain time, they realize that there is variety, there is spiritual variatedness. And Lord has multifarious planets, spiritual planets and multifarious forms. So that is one aspect. Another is the greatness of the Lord can become so overwhelming that one may not approach the Lord close enough to have a relationship. So even the celebrities, so people know them as brands, but as a person like you and me, they are also people like you and me. Right? So for that, someone who is close enough will know them as a person. So similarly, knowing the Lord close enough, so that is also manifested. So this we discussed. Now, what we'll see is various verses in the Brahma Samhita, in the Bhagavad Gita, where it is conclusively established that the highest form of realization is the Bhagavan realization. Because this is a bone of contention. Again and again, different people may challenge you that how can the Supreme Absolute Truth be a person? How can Supreme Absolute Truth be limited to a form? So you can take all of these verses as your as your ammunition. जब भी कोई someone counters, then keep this ammunition ready. So here Brahma Samhita Brahmaji is saying Yasya Prabhavato Jagadand Koti Shvashesh Yasudhadi Vibhuti Binnam. So Yasya Prabha, whose Prabha means effulgence, whose effulgence Prabhavato, from that effulgence is emanating Jagad and Koti. Koti means crores of Jagad and universes are coming out. And Kotishu Ashesha, within each universe, Kotishu Ashesha Vasudha, there is millions of variegatedness. There are 84 lakh species. Matlab, एक universe, matlab, there are crores of universe. Within each universe, there's so much variegatedness, right? That there's no end to the amount of scientific discoveries which you can continue doing, but never get to the end of it. Vibhuti Pinnam, Tad Brahma, जिसको तुम ब्रह्म बोलते हो वो वही है यस्य प्रभा, उनकी प्रभा है, उनकी दिव्य देदीप्यमान देह की जो तेज है. तद ब्रह्म निष्कलम अनंत अशेष भूतम. So that which you call Brahman is nothing but the transcendental effulgence of Krishna, and from that Brahman is manifesting all the material and spiritual worlds, right? So Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Okay, so this is Brahmaji's verse. Now in Gita, several places Krishna very, very conclusively clarifies. Now people say that, God, the avatars, they are just transformations of the Brahman in Satogun. The Mayavadis, they make such ridiculous, spurious claims without any basis. That the avatar is just a transformation of Brahman in the mode of goodness. So, but it doesn't, the avatar doesn't have any permanent, eternal existence. Now here you see Krishna is saying, Avyaktam Vyaktim Apannam Manyate Mam Abuddhaya. Abuddhaya, foolish people, stupid people. So Krishna is saying that someone who comes and tells you कि ये तो अभी जो दिख रहे हैं ना आपको कृष्ण राम इत्यादि जो व्यक्ति फॉर्म में दिख रहे हैं वो अव्यक्त थे पहले, वो पहले अव्यक्त थे, अभी व्यक्ति बन गए हैं कुछ समय के लिए जस्ट टू टेल अस दैट ही इज अव्यक्त. सो कृष्ण ऐसा कोई आपके बोले ना, आपको आके बोले ना, सो ही इज रास्कल नंबर 1, अबुद्ध है, फूल नंबर 1. So इसके लिए प्रभुपाद said, I don't call them rascals. Krishna calls them, I just repeat. So Krishna is saying, Abuddhaya is, foolish, stupid. Param bhavam ajananto, doesn't know my true identity. Param bhava. Mama avyayam anuttamam. Mam avyayam, that I am inexhaustible. Just as we see people in this world, they take birth, they die. Krishna says, I am not like that. Mam avyayam anuttamam, मुझसे ऊपर कुछ नहीं है. Don't think that beyond me there is a Brahman realization. So, no, Bhagavan realization, understanding and realizing me as Bhagavan is the highest realization. So Krishna is, any doubts here? ये quote करेंगे आप. If anyone says absolute truth is impersonal and then from that impersonal the person manifests, no. Avyaktam Vyaktim Apannam, if someone says from that Avyakta Vyakti avatar has come, no. They are not having the right understanding. Because the avatars of the Lord, they are eternal. They exist eternally in the spiritual world. And then Krishna says, how much about shall I tell you about my vibhutis? Athava bahunaitena kim yatena tava arjuna vishtapyaham idam kritsnam ekamshena sthito jagat. Krishna is saying, by my one amsha, this entire universe is being supported. Ek amsha. So when Krishna says this in 10.42, you know what is the 11th chapter? Virat Roop, Vishwaroop, Vishwaroop Darshan. Krishna gives the Vishwaroop Darshan, where all the entire universes, all the different deities, everything is, Arjuna is seeing in Krishna, right? All the ghastly forms, all the different forms he's seeing in Krishna. Is Kala Rupa, he's seeing Krishna. But Krishna is saying that when Krishna speaks about this Ekamshina Sito Jagat, Arjuna asks, I want to see that amsha of yours, जिससे आप पूरे जगत को मैनिफेस्ट और मेंटेन करते हो. So Krishna is saying, मैं अपनी कितनी like opulences को, विभूतिस के बारे में आपको कितना बताऊं, मेरे एक अंश से ये पूरा जगत जो है वह चलायमान. So Arjuna asks, I want to see that amsha. What is that amsha? Vishwaroop. So people may proclaim or feel that, okay, this Vishwaroop is the reality, the Brahman, all pervading Brahman is the reality, Krishna is just a representation of that. No, Krishna says, I am the absolute supreme person, and this Brahman, all this Virat Roop, the Vishwaroop is just an amsha of me. It's the other way around, right? And here Sanjay, in the 11th chapter and towards the end, he's saying, when Arjuna requested to Vasudeva Krishna that, oh, please show me your self, your real form, your true form. So, iti Arjunam Vasudeva tathoktva swakam rupam darshayam asa bhuyah ashvasayam asa cha bhitamenam bhutva punah saumya vapur mahatma. So, what is the real form? Swakam rupam. The real form of Krishna, the same form of Krishna. ये जो फॉर्म दिखाया विश्वरूप, वो सेल्फ सेम फॉर्म नहीं था, वो एक अंश था. But then the swakam rupam, the real form of Krishna, is Saumya Vapur Mahatma. So actually it's the Bhagavan realization, knowing Krishna as a person, that's the highest. So here, but that Vishwaroop what was that doing? Arjuna was overwhelmed by that Jyoti, by that effulgence of that Vishwaroop. And he also asked Krishna, remove this effulgence. Krishna, remove this gigantic, opulent form. I want to see your real form. So here the same prayer is made by the devotee, remove all of this grandeur of your vibhutis. Remove the grandeur of your Brahma Jyoti, remove the grandeur of your vibhutis. I want to see your real form of a Saumya Vapu, of the pleasing lotus-eyed Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then Krishna says, Sudur darsham idam rupam drashtavan asiyan mama deva api asya rupasya nityam darshana kankshinaha. So Krishna says, in order to show the Vishwaroop, Krishna gives Arjuna VR spectacles. Virtual reality spectacles, nahin. Vishwaroop spectacles. So Krishna gives special spectacles, special vision to Arjuna to see that. But what Krishna is saying after manifesting his, Saumya Roop, he's saying, this Saumya Roop which you are seeing, Arjun, उसके लिए आपको VR spectacles लगे, लेकिन उससे भी that was durdarsham, that was difficult to see. But this is sudurdarsham, it is even more difficult to see and understand my real Saumya Roop. So actually, it's the Bhagavan feature of the Lord, which is the source of all the Vibhuti Rupas of the Lord, the Vishwarupa, the Brahman feature. So Krishna is himself saying that this is my highest realization that I am giving to you. And then of course Krishna in the 12th chapter, when Arjuna after the 11th chapter is over, Arjuna pointedly asks, which realization is higher, the impersonal or the personal? And Krishna says, Klesho adhiktaras tesham avyakta asakta chetasam, who are attached to the avyakta feature. They undergo a lot of tribulation, dukkha. Whereas for the devotee who is adoring and worshipping my two-handed form, my four-handed forms, तेषाम अहम समुद्धरता मृत्यु संसार सागरात भवामि न चिरात पार्थ मयि आवेशित चेतसा. तो यहाँ पे क्या बोला है, जो अव्यक्त के उपासना करते हैं उनको बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ती है, और जो भगवान के व्यक्ति रूप की उपासना करते हैं, भगवान क्या कहते हैं, मैं मेहनत करता हूँ. तेषाम अहम समुद्धरता, मैं उनको पार कराता हूँ. यहाँ पे इनको बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ती है. यहाँ पे भगवान बोलते हैं, I carry my devotee across the cycle of birth and death, of the ocean of birth and death. And then 14th chapter, Krishna says, Brahmano hi pratishtaham amratasya avyayasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhyasya ekantikasya cha. So, conclusively, Krishna is establishing here again that I am the source, I am the basis of that Brahman, effulgence, Brahman realization. That impersonal feature which might blind a beginner in transcendence to think that the absolute is nothing but that blinding light, that spiritual energy which is all pervading, which is the only truth. So one may be blinded by that, but then Krishna is saying, I am the basis of that. So we discussed that in general, nature of light is to reveal. But there are incidences we see where light also conceals, where light can blind. How? So one is that suddenly when you are in the dark and there's a strong beam of light which you come across, immediately it blinds you, right? You need you need time to get accustomed and to then know that there is variety outside that cave. So that is our situation in the cave of this material world, when someone for the first time comes across transcendence, one may feel that the absolute truth is just light. And another way light can be blinding is we saw greatness and sweetness. Knowledge of God's greatness can overwhelm someone so much that one may remain distant from the Lord. But then when one gets access to go close enough to the Lord by the path of bhakti, then that greatness goes on the backstage, and the sweetness of intimate loving relationship with the Lord, that comes to the forefront of the relationship. Then another thing which we see is, in general, light ka nature has to reveal. But is an interesting thing. Light reveals objects on
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, we can't hear you.
Prabhuji, we can't hear your voice.
Prabhuji, your mic is on mute, I think.
Hare Krishna, can you hear?
Yeah, it is
Yes.
restored now.
Yes, now. Yes, we can hear.
So we were saying that in general, light reveals any object on which it falls, right? Light reveals objects, but light may obstruct the source of light. If you have a bulb, with the help of the bulb, you can see everything in the room. But if you want to see the filament from where the light is coming, you try to see, you'll get blinded. You can't see the filament, and then you won't be able to see anything else also after some time. So in general, you can actually, those who get Brahman realization, they can see in truth the nature of this world, that how everything is basically made of the temporary elements, the elements like basically the transient reality of this world. They can see the flickering reality of this world, but then they can't access the source of that light. The Brahman realization can actually manifest, can actually manifest for you the nature of this world. But then that Brahman realization cannot manifest the nature of the source of this world. है ना? So the source of that light cannot be revealed through the light itself, the Brahman realization. Right? So that is revealed only by the path of bhakti. Yes? Okay, so now the 16th verse is also similar. It also speaks about the same principle. I don't think we'll be able to recite this.
Prabhuji, before we go on, I had a question.
Yes.
In the 15th verse, at the end, it says, reveal yourself to your pure devotees. So, does that mean that it's a prayer only for pure devotees, or what does that word mean there? What's the context?
So, basically, the devotee is praying Satya Dharmaya, someone who is on the true path.
Yeah.
A pure devotee doesn't mean that necessarily that one is purified of all one's conditionings and misgivings. Someone who is on the pure path is also a pure devotee because he is following the pure path. So in that sense, Prabhupada would say that all of you are pure devotees. It is just that you have not realized it.
Okay.
All of you are liberated. It's just that we have not realized it. So we are on the path which is the perfect path.
Okay, thank you.
Eventually, in due course of time, how much that time is, that time will reveal. But otherwise, we are on the right, on the pure path. So Satya Dharmaya, who is on the pure path, for such a devotee, this is the prayer. So we need to make this prayer. Oh Lord, let me not get blinded or obstructed to just the external Brahman effulgence or the external greatness of your opulences. Let me go deeper to have a personal direct relationship with you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the 16th verse. पूषणे कर्षे यम सूर्य प्रजापत्य व्यूहरश. पूषणे कर्षे यम सूर्य प्रजापत्य व्यूह. I don't think it is supposed to be in a meter. व्यूहरश्मिन् समूह तेजो यत्ते रूपम कल्याणतमं तत्ते पश्यामि यो असौ सो असौ पुरुषः सो अहम अस्मि. Okay, so again the Lord is called here Pushan or maintainer, जो पोषण करते हैं. Pushan. एक ऋषि means who is the primeval philosopher. So the source of all philosophy. So there are different philosophers, but the source of all philosophy, the primeval philosopher, एक ऋषि. Yama, the ultimate controller. Surya, the destination of all the Suris or the thinkers, the source of all light, all knowledge. Prajapatya, the well-wisher of all Prajapatis. Prajapatis, basically the progenitors. The Lord is the origin of all Prajapatis. Vyuha, kindly remove. Rashmin, the rays, kindly withdraws. Samoha, teja, effulgence. So again, the same prayer is made so that I can see your Rupam, Kalyanathamam, which is most auspicious. That I may be able to see Purushah Saha Asmi. So here again, there is only one difference, one additional point in this verse, which I'll explain. Rest it is same. O my Lord, O primeval philosopher, Ek Rishi, maintainer of the universe, Pushan, O regulating principles, Yama, Surya, destination of the pure devotees, well-wisher of the progenitors of mankind, Prajapatya, please remove the effulgence, Vyuha Teja, of your, these transcendental rays, Rashmi. Why? So that Pashyami te, what I can see, te rupam, your form of bliss. Satchidananda Vigraha. And you are the eternal supreme personality, Purushaha. You are a person. So what is being proclaimed here is this form of this effulgence of yours is covering your real nature as a person. So I know you are a Purusha, but this transcendental effulgence of yours, this Rashmi, these rays are covering that aspect of your real existence. So please remove that Purusha. So Purusha, you are that supreme person. So Asmi, and I am also a person. So you are the supreme person. I am the servant person. You are the master person, and I am the servant person. So Asmi, but now in impersonalists may take this. So Aham Asmi by taking that I am also that God. No, here it is said that so Aham Asmi, that you are person, I am also a person. But you are Ek Rishi. I am not Ek Rishi. You are that original philosopher, the supreme philosopher. You are the Pushan. I am not Pushan. I am the Poshita. Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetanam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. So that this verse, it says that there are millions of eternals in all of us, and there is one eternal. Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. There is one sentient, the supreme, and all of us are also sentient. But that one sentient, one eternal provides for all of us. He fulfills all of our desires. So, Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. So, we are also like him in the sense that we are also Sat, Chit, and Ananda, but it is a difference in quantity. Qualitatively, we are one, but quantitatively, there is a difference. So, these characteristics are there mentioned. Yeah, so the purport has 8 paragraphs, and the different words of the translation have been taken by Prabhupada and explained. So, Krishna as the basis of Brahman and Paramatma in the first and second paragraph, and Vyuha Rashmin beyond Brahman is Bhagwan, and how Bhagwan is the most auspicious realization, that is in third and fourth paragraph, and how the Lord maintains his devotees and everyone and everything else, that is in the fifth. And so Aham Asmi, how the living entity is one yet different from the Lord, quantitatively different, qualitatively one. That is described in the 6th and 7th verse and 8th verse, that this Bhagwan realization is attained only through Bhakti Yoga or devotional service. So here, as I said, there's one difference from the previous verse. Previous verse also says that, "Oh Lord, please remove your blinding transcendental effulgence so that I can see your form as a person face to face." Here it is said, Purusha Saha, I want to see that Purusha Roop, so Aham Asmi, I am also a person. So that is the addition in this verse, where previous verse it said, I want you to reveal your form. In this word is added, you have a form, I also have a form. And how does it help? Because if I have a form, I can serve your form. If I have a form, I can serve your lotus feet. And I can render different types of services for you. Otherwise, there cannot be any relationship. If there has to be a relationship, there have to be people. You cannot have a relationship with things and objects. So to have a dynamic relationship, there have to be 2 people, the supreme person and the devotee. So this long back I had heard this small kind of an anecdote story about how the Brahmavadis or Mayavadis, they are so stubbornly attached to that impersonal understanding, or not just impersonal understanding that I am that absolute truth. I am that same absolute truth. So one seeker, he went to a Mayavadi guru ashram and he asked him, so what is the ultimate truth? He said, Soham. Ultimate truth is Soham. So you just chant Soham. So he said, what is the meaning of Soham? So aham. So aham. मैं वो हूँ तत्त्वम असि. So basically I am that supreme person, supreme absolute truth. I am the supreme reality. I am the supreme absolute truth. I am God. So you just chant Soham. So then he was chanting Soham, Soham, I am that, I am supreme, I am supreme, I am that. Soham, 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 Soham. He was chanting this Soham mantra. And he was becoming more and more egoistic. Aham, aham, aham. Spirituality is to give up aham. But then Soham, I am the greatest. I am the source of everything. Soham. So then he, was not happy. He was still miserable, chanting Soham. Despite convincing himself that I am that God, he was miserable. So then he came to, and saw Hare Krishna devotees. They were so happy. So he went to the devotees and he asked, so you look so happy. What is the mantra you are chanting? He said, our mantra is very simple. What is your mantra? He said, I have been chanting this Soham mantra. So he said, nahin, good. The mantra is good. You can just add one da in front of it. So you just add da in front of your Soham mantra. So he said, okay. So I'll chant this mantra. Da Soham. So he said, in that way, you don't offend your Mayavadi Guru also. So he said, okay. So I'm keeping the word of that previous Guru and I'm chanting Da Soham, and he was becoming happy. Then one day he went to his Mayavadi Guru and he told him that the mantra is working, I am becoming happy. Just that I added one thing. Someone told me to add a da in front of it. So Da Soham is completely, enraged that Guru. He said, Da Soham, why do you want to become a slave, a servant? This is all sentimentalism. This bhakti is all sentimental, fool's philosophy. You have to become that supreme absolute. So I am giving you the highest. Why are you becoming the lowest? When you are becoming a slave, I am making you the master. So he said, but no, I am liking this Dasoham. So he said, okay, keep Dasoham. Add one sir to it. So he said, okay, it won't make much difference. I will add Sada Soham, Sada Soham. I am always that. I am eternally that supreme God. Sada Soham, Aham, Aham. Again he became miserable. Again he went to devotee and he said, that Guru asked me to add one sir. So, and I'm again becoming miserable. So he said, I'll make you even more blissful. I'll give you even a higher realization. You add just one more da in front of your current mantra. Dasa dasoham, dasa dasoham, dasa dasoham. I'm the servant of the servant of the servant. And like this, he became a shuttlecock between. And then every time he would come to the devotee, he would increase the number of dasas. Dasa, dasa, dasoham, dasa, dasa, dasoham. So actually that is our eternal identity. To be the servant of the servant of the servant of the Gopi Bhartupada Kamaleo Dasa Dasa No Dasa. To be the servant of the servant of the servant of the Gopis of Vrindavan. So that is our eternal identity, to be a servant. So Aham is mentioned here, that I am also like that Lord. But that is a qualitative oneness, not a quantitative oneness. So we are qualitatively one, but not in terms of quantity. Krishna, Arjuna asked Krishna, oh, you also are like me. But you are saying you told this knowledge to the sun god. How is it possible? Sun god appeared millions of years ago. And you are just my langotia yaar. So how is it that you went and told to sun god? So Krishna said, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tava arjuna tani ham veda sarvani natvam vedu vedi parantapa. You have taken millions of births. I have also appeared. You don't remember, but I remember. So even in terms of in everything, our potencies, we can possess some wealth. Krishna possesses all the wealth. We may possess some strength, someone, you may possess more strength than me, he may possess more strength than you, but ultimately our strength is limited. But Krishna has all the strength. No one can claim that I possess all the strength. And the strongest of the strong in this world also eventually becomes weak. I fly like a bird, I sting like a bee. I am the greatest, Muhammad Ali. So Muhammad Ali would write poems on himself. He would write songs for himself. I fly like a bird, I sting like a bee. I am the greatest, Muhammad Ali. Whatever he wrote, but then later he contracted Alzheimer's disease, and then he said, I am the greatest fool that I thought like that. So someone may possess some strength for some period of time, but not all the strength for all the time. Right? So our potencies are so limited, whether it is strength, whether it is wealth, whether it is fame, some fame for some time, and then, something happens, some scandal happens, and, someone who is having a very, very high viewership, some Ranveer Alabadia becomes so famous, then suddenly the entire world is, just completely, so upset with that person. There's so much infamy, right? So we can see in all ways we are so limited. And even in terms of our intelligence and our memory, right? Someone may have intelligence in one field, but not in another field. Someone may have intelligence in mathematical intelligence, but but have zero musical intelligence. Sangeet ko Aurangzeb. Someone may have musical intelligence, but may not have linguistic intelligence to speak or to articulate one's thoughts properly. So we are all limited. We only have limited amount of intelligence and limited amount of memory. We just remember, from a few years, and that too not everything. We don't remember what we ate yesterday afternoon. Do we remember? Right? We have experience of our, say, mothers asking us, "Ki din mein kya khaya? Kya khaya pata nahi." Right? We don't remember. Takes so much time to process what did we eat. So we don't even remember something which we always look forward to. What to speak of remembering things which we don't look forward to. So our memory is also so limited, but Krishna's memory, Krishna's intelligence is unlimited, the source of all memory, source of all intelligence. So in that, we can understand that, yes, qualitatively, being a sentient being, we are one with the Lord. That we also are eternal. Sat, Krishna is eternal, we are also eternal. We have a desire to live eternally. No one wants to die. No one wants to grow old. Right? But still everyone has to go through these changes of disease, old age and death. But ultimately, our innate desire is to remain, young forever. To exist forever. Live young, live free. Mahindra, apni gaadi bech raha hai. But that is the desire of the soul. To live young and live free. But the problem is, we can't do that here. So we are eternal, Sat, and we are Chit. We are sentient beings. We feel, we experience. Matter cannot experience. Right? Matter may also exist, but matter cannot experience. but we experience. So Krishna is a supreme sentient being. He is sentient about the pains and pleasure of every living being. We are just sentient of this kshetra, this small body. That too not sentient of the nails, of the hairs, which are also connected to the body. But then Krishna is sentient of everything. And ultimately, we are also having the feature of Ananda. So Krishna is, he is the source of all Ananda. Raso vai saha. He is the ultimate reservoir of all pleasure. We are also seeking pleasure. Whatever we are doing, ultimately, we want to be happy. But Krishna is the source of all happiness. So in that sense, we can understand that qualitatively we are one with Krishna in terms of being eternal, being sentient, having feelings, having emotions, having experiences, and we all want to be happy. So in that sense, we have oneness with Krishna, but we cannot, but when we consider that we can be one in terms of opulences, in terms of strength, in terms of vibhutis, that's where it's not possible. That's where we are just insignificant, infinitesimal parts and parcels of Krishna, meant for serving the Lord, not just serving the Lord, serving the servants of the servants of the servants of Krishna. Dasa dasoham, not sadasoham. Yes. So that is basically this verse, 16th verse. Shall we go to 17th verse? Or any questions?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, we hear from Chaitanya Charitamrita, but where does in Gita it is mentioned that we are the eternally Das? We are part of Krishna eternally, Mamayvansho Jiva Loke. But wo eternally Das, where it is written in Gita?
Adjust नहीं हो रहा ना.
I mean, I don't know adjustment. वो एक क्वेरी रहती है कि गीता में किधर है, भागवतम में किधर है.
Yes, so Krishna says, Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Krishna is definitely saying that you are all my amshas. Pita aham asya jagato mata dhata pitamaha. That I am the supreme father, supreme forefather. So ये तो पता लगा कि हम अंश हैं. लेकिन is it directly mentioned? Krishna ने बोला है क्या कि you are all servants, you are meant to be das? Well, Krishna says, मदयाजी माम नमस्कुरु. मन मना भव मद भक्तो मदयाजी माम नमस्कुरु. मामे वैश्यसि सत्यम ते प्रतिजाने प्रियोसि में. So what does Krishna says? माम नमस्कुरु. Who does namaskar? The servant. मन मना, मुझ में मन लगाओ. मद भक्तो, मेरे भक्त बनो. मद याजी, मेरी आराधना करो, मेरी सेवा करो. याजी मतलब to serve Krishna. So Krishna has said that Mam Namaskuru. So in all, whatever is the job description of the servant, वो तो भगवान ने दे ही दिया है. अभी just एक वो, मतलब if you are given the job description and told designation अभी नहीं दिया है. Job description मिल गया ना. It is but obvious that we are servants. So Krishna has given yat karoshi, yad asnasi, yat karosi dadasi, yat tapasyasi kaunte tat kuru madarpanam. That whatever you do, offer it to me. So in that sense, what? That is the job description of a servant. That he does everything for the master. So Chaitanya Charitamrita makes things simple for us. जीवेर स्वरूप होए कृष्णेर नित्यदास. अभी इतना सब गीता के वर्सेस सुन के भी वो क्लिक नहीं करेगा, बट इसके लिए कविराज गोस्वामी सेज, लुक, जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन जो दिया है आपको डेजिग्नेशन भी हम बता देते हैं. डेजिग्नेशन इज सर्वेंट. Does it make it clear, Prabhu?
Yes. The five kind of final
Rasas.
rasa So there are Vatsalya Rasa, there are Madhurya Rasa. So in Raganuga Bhakti, it says we realize these identities later on as the time passes. So that Shanta Rasa is like Dasya Rasa. But other the rasas are there. They're not Dasya Rasa. They are like other kind of rasas.
भक्ति रसामृत सिंधु प्रभु जी, उसमें आप अच्छे से डुबकी लगाना. When you study Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, you will get in detail about all the different rasas and it is the progression of that development. But just to address that to some extent, basically, ultimately, whatever be our constitutional relationship in whatever mellow, the foundation of everything is the feeling of being a loving servant of Krishna. That is the operating system. You may have best of softwares. You may boast to have Adobe Photoshop and Premiere Pro movie बनाने के लिए सब softwares है आपके पास, but you don't even have an operating system. Softwares are of no use. So the operating system for a devotee is being a loving servant of Krishna. And that Dasya Bhav is the operating system. Without having that operating system, you cannot install the software of Dasya Ras, Sakhya Ras, Madhurya Ras, Vatsalya Ras. नहीं होगा, वो install ही नहीं होगा. Right? So, and actually the essence of all these rasas is to be a loving servant of Krishna. And if you read the 6th chapter of, I think it's the 6th chapter of Adi Leela, where Advaita Acharya's devotion is mentioned, Advaita Acharya is being, that tattva is being mentioned there. In detail, it is mentioned that how the Dasya Bhav, that Dasa Abhiman, that is the essence of bhakti. That I am a loving servant of Krishna. And everyone, right from the smallest devotee to the greatest devotee, the foundation is this Dasa Abhiman, that I am a loving servant of Krishna. And Krishna is so attracted by that, he feels that everyone has a master. I don't have one. So let me become a devotee myself. So he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to experience that Dasa Abhiman, that I am the servant. Right? So, so that Das Abhiman, if you see, there are in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in detail, so many verses are mentioned that how the gopis of Vrindavan, what is their Abhiman, they are not thinking that, oh, we are having Ragatmika Bhakti. We are having this highest form of bhakti. No, what they are saying, Ashulka Dasika. In the Gopi Geet, the gopis are telling, who are we? Ashulka Dasika. Shulka means the salary. We are unsalaried servants. हमें आपसे salary नहीं चाहिए, but we want to be a servant. So it's not that Dasya is a lower rung, lower caste in the spiritual world. No, Dasya Bhav is the basically substrata, the foundation of every other rasa. And even in the I think in the 81st or some in the 10th canto toward the end, there's this description of the queens of Vrindavan. They are having conversation with Draupadi, and they are all telling how I came to Krishna consciousness or how I got married to Krishna. All the queens are saying, and they are concluding their story with that Tava Graha Marjani, Tava Graha Dasika. So they are concluding their story by saying that thus I became the Graha Marjani of Krishna. Thus I became the sweeper in Krishna's house. Thus I became the maid servant in Krishna's house. So that is the queens of Dwarka Now we saw the gopis, they are saying Ashulka Dasika. The queens of Dwarka, they are saying we are Graha Marjani. We are the sweepers in Krishna's house. Then you see Nand Maharaj. Nand Maharaj tells to Uddhava that what is that? He says Vacho bhi namna pratina Krishna Ishware. Basically, he says that whenever and wherever we may have to take birth, manoso vrityo nasyu. So basically, by our mind, body, and word, we may be servants of Krishna. So even Nand Maharaj is praying like that. So, like, you can go on, and every rasa you will find that ultimately that is the foundation, the operating system, without which any other rasa will not work. Okay, so now let's proceed to the seventeenth shloka. Vayuranilam amritam athedam bhasmantam shariram
Atedam Vashmantam Shariram
Om krito smara kritam smara
Om Krito Smara Kritam Smara
krito smara kritam smara
Krito Smara Kritam Smara
Vayuranilam amritam
Nilam Amrita
athedam bhasmantam shariram
Atedam
Bhasmantam
Vashmantam
Shariram.
Om krito smara kritam smara
Om
Om Krito Smara Kritam Smara.
krito smara kritam smara.
Krito Smara Kritam Smara.
Very beautiful verse, very interesting verse, and very sweet verse. Here the devotee is in a mood of belonging to the Lord. He's calling out to the Lord. He's saying, Vayur Anilam, let this air, this prana vayu, let it merge in the Mahan Vayu. The prana vayu, let it get it merged in the Mahan Vayu. I am not attached to these pranas, this life here. The asuras, the definition of asura is asuramante iti asura. One who is attached to one's life here, that is an asura. Hiranyakashipu tried all tips and tricks and techniques to prolong his life. By hook or crook, he wanted to prolong his life. Kamsa, his entire life, I can even kill my sister. I can kill even the infant, innocent children of my sister to prolong my life. But here the devotee is saying, I don't care about life here. Let this life here merge into the life here. Even now, if I were to just cease in this current body, I don't care. Amritam atha idam bhasmantam shariram. This body may just be burnt to ashes. I don't care. But Om, O Lord, Krito, you are the enjoyer of all sacrifices. Kritam smara, please remember all my devotional service unto you. Please remember that कितनी मुश्किल से मैंने ये क्या क्या छोड़ना पड़ा है. चाय, कॉफी, लहसुन, प्याज, उससे भी पहले क्या क्या बता भी नहीं सकते. So इतना कुछ छोड़ा है भगवान आपके लिए. आप याद रखना. The student sometimes, just to impress upon the teacher that I was a sincere student all through, give me good marks. So the devotee is praying to the Lord. इतना मैंने क्या क्या छोड़ा है, कितना मैंने गाली खाया है, कितने लोगों ने मुझे इंसल्ट किया है आपकी भक्ति के लिए. अभी प्लीज इस एग्जाम में पास करा देना. So he is saying final exam that I am ready for it. Just as a student asked, are you ready for the exam? Are you ready? Yes, we are ready. लेकिन प्रभु जी थोड़ा सा अच्छा ग्रेस मार्क देना, थोड़ा ज्यादा स्ट्रिक्ट मार्किंग मत करना. You remember I attended all classes live. तो उसका कुछ extra 5% मिलेगा क्या? So the devotee is praying, oh Lord, I have done so much bhakti. You remember all of that, na? You will remember, na? So he is in a sweet mood of belonging, that, oh Lord, you belong to me. I have a relationship with you. So you see how the prayers have progressed from very terse, philosophical, abstract paradoxes, vidya, avidya, sambhuti, asambhuti, ejati, nejati, dure, antike, spinning your head with all abstract philosophy, which is so contradictory, difficult to process. But then here, finally, now it's thoda, it feels relatable, right? But yeah, we have to come here. But without that philosophy, if we come here, then it will become Sahajiyas. We will go and tell Krishna what not, whatever. We will pull Krishna down here. कृष्णा, हाँ वो तो आते हैं ना, रोज सपने में ही आते हैं मेरे को. हाँ और क्या, अरे उनके सपने में मैं ही चाहता हूँ ना, बताते हो मुझे. So we can take Krishna for granted if we don't hear all of this philosophy and directly jump to here. It is easier to jump to here, to this place, where, oh Lord, in a sense of belonging, you talk to the Lord and have an adhikar. इसको बोलते हैं ना, that I have a sense of, इसके ऊपर अधिकार होता है उनको भी, we can tell certain things. So that sense of belonging, but to come to the sense of belonging, it has to be built on a foundation of understanding of Lord's greatness, who He is, how is the controller of all the cosmic manifestations, the spiritual and the material world. Once we understand all of that, then we rightfully have the claim to say to the Lord, "O Radha Gopinath ji, yaad rakhenge na hame." Right? But without all of that, you directly jump there, then the essence of bhakti means you wear a gopi dress and you become the Ragatmika Bhakta. The ultimate, you become Radharani. You can become Radharani. Why not? Red वाला लहंगा पहनना है मतलब Radharani. नीला वाला पहनना है नीला लहंगा, so you become Radharani. So you can't jump like that directly. You need to go through all of this, develop that sense of belonging to the Lord. Then it will make sense. Otherwise, it will be nonsense. So here the devotee is praying, let this temporary body, shariram, be burnt to ashes, bhasmantam, and let the air of life, vayu, be merged with the totality of air, anilam. Atha, O Lord, Om, please remember, smara all my sacrifices. And because you are the ultimate beneficiary, krato. So मैंने जितने भी sacrifices किए हैं, you are krato. आपके लिए करने होते सब sacrifice. मिले ना आपको मेरे सारे sacrifices. Register हुए ना. All my chanting, my jap, my tap, my ekadashi, my निर्जल वाला एकादशी. कितना मुश्किल था. पूरी रात पेट दर्द कर रहा था. Right? So please remember all of that. No, not in that sense, but the devotees. Now we will explain. We'll see some verses that what does that exactly mean. So the first part is that one is oblivious of one's material belonging and possessions. One doesn't care about one's material possessions, and other abilities and things like that. One is ready to just withdraw from all one's material possessions, and the devotee's only desire is that one gets that eternal constitutional position to be a servant of the Lord. And for that, one is the devotee is praying to the Lord. So in the purport, Prabhupada, takes those concepts in the verse, theme by theme. First, he says that how this material body is a foreign dress that must be given up. And Prabhupada says in this that actually we say that the body has a form, but the soul doesn't have a form. And people say the soul is formless, the body has a form. But Prabhupada says no, the body doesn't have a form. Body is made up of matter. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. Does water have a form? Does earth have a form? Actually, the body is formless, but just as cotton is formless. Does cotton have a form? But that same cotton, when it is stitched for a person, that cotton takes the form of a shirt or a pant or a coat, right? So the body takes a form because that body is a dress. Vasansi jirnani yatha vihar. The body is a dress which is tailored to fit the soul. So actually the soul has a form and the body is the dress. So people may think that the body has a form, the soul doesn't have a form. But actually the soul has a form, the body is just a dress which takes a form to fit the soul. And to be more particular, to fit the desires of the soul. So based on the nature of desires of the soul, वैसा वो form, वो body का form बन जाता है. But actually the soul has a form which is covered by the desires. Desire tailor. So our desires are the tailor which are stitching our next body. So whatever our desires are, the substratum of our desires, our subconscious desires, they are the desires which are subconsciously stitching our next body. So yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajate ante kalevanam. Whatever is the net desire, the remainder of all desires that are there in our consciousness at the time of death, that is the next body that we are getting. So the desire is the tailor. So we are stitching our own next body with our own desire. So we have to be mindful of what we desire. Right? If we desire only Krishna, we get a body meant to serve Krishna. But if we desire things of this world, then Krishna will have to give us a body to serve the things of this world. Right? So what we are doing in chanting is to develop the desire for Krishna. What we are saying, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. It's 2 hours trying to drill through the dull, mind and intelligence, consciousness that I desire only Krishna. I want only Krishna. Krishna, 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 Krishna. If someone is constantly saying, Kohli, 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 means what? They desire Kohli to make a century. And they are obsessed with Kohli. But if someone is saying Krishna, 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 2 घंटे तक पागल की तरह, they have to be obsessed with Krishna, right? The only thing they want is Krishna. But हमारा problem here, we are saying Krishna, Krishna, thinking Kohli, Kohli. So while we are saying Krishna, Krishna, we also have to impress upon ourselves, Are Baba, I am saying Krishna, Krishna, but I want Krishna, Krishna only. So when that becomes our desire, then antakale cha mameva yat tat prayati tamad bhava. Then man comes to Krishna. So here the material body is a dress, and the best way to give up the body is by surrendering to the Lord, not by going to the Brahma Jyoti. And the importance of the last thought at the time of death. Basically, the last thought is the sum and substance of all the residual thoughts that we have been having all through our lives. And Krishna never forgets our service to him. He always remembers. Any service that we may have rendered. So Krishna says, Neha Vikramanashosti Pratyavayona Vidyate. So Alpam Api Dharmasya Trayate Mahoto Bhayat. थोड़ा सा भी आपने कभी भी कोई भक्ति की है, that will remain your permanent asset because I have made your permanent account number. Your PAN number is there with me. The problem is you don't invest. But whatever is invested, that is permanently kept me. That is a real PAN, permanent account. Neha Vikramanashosti. The spiritual endeavors that we do, they are permanently stored in our name. So you have that, many times you might have heard that story that there's a person who is a drunkard, woman hunter, prostitute hunter, like that. So he, once he was, carrying a flower for the prostitute, and on the way, he trips and falls, and that flower goes into the nala. So he says, okay, this flower is for the Lord. So because he could not take it, so he thought, ye Bhagwan kill. And then at the time of death comes, he has not done any pious activity. So his time of death, the Yamdutas come to take him to hell. But then he's told that you have got one moment of being at the outskirts of Swarga. He said, why? Because you, by your crooked intelligence, you did one good thing, is to offer a flower to the Lord, although it was in the gutter, but in your mind you offered it. So you will get for a moment to be outside heavens. So where you want to go first? One moment in heaven or for millions of years in hell? Then let me go to heaven first. So then he's taken there and he said, just a moment. And he immediately is taken there to the precinct and he sees the doorkeeper of heaven and he sees he has a sword. He snatches his sword of the security guard and the Nandan garden is there with all the flowers and he cuts within that moment, cuts as many flowers as he can and he offers Keshava Arpanamastu, Narayana Arpanamastu, Madhava Arpanamastu, Krishna Arpanamastu. And he offers as many flowers as he can. And by this time, his PAN permanent account number has got so many spiritual credits. The Yamdutas, their database, उनका system hang हो जाता है, overload हो जाता है कि अभी करने का क्या? With that one flower, he had credit to come here for a moment. What should we do? So then they go to Yamraj. Yamraj says, "Oh, this kind of problem I also never faced. What to do?" I think Mumbai se aaya lagta hai. So then let me go to let us go to Brahmaji. He is the lord of all the devatas. So they went to Brahmaji. Brahmaji said, "Oh, what's this kind of a problem? I also never faced. What to do with this fellow?" So let's check with Shivji, Lord Shiva. And they go to Lord Shiva, and all of them are discussing. They are having a conference meeting, and this person is peacefully sitting and saying, "Chalo, health to ban gaya." And all of them are discussing, intense discussion. What should be done? What should be done? Finally, they decide that let's ask Lord Vishnu. Let's go to the Supreme Boss. And then they take him, go to Vaikuntha, and they are asking the Lord. So Lord, this is the problem. What to be done? He has done so many sinful activities, but then this freak action he did. He cut flowers and offered to you. So Lord, what should be his result? So Lord said, what can I tell? When the ultimate Mahabhagavatas, who are the Brahmaji, Shivji, and Yamraj, who are Mahajans, when three Mahajans come and personally take a person to Vaikuntha, bring him to Vaikuntha, what else is the the result? He has become a perfected devotee of them and a liberated soul, right? So that is the result of offering the Lord even flowers with ulterior motives. So that story is told that devotional service, whatever you do, Lord always remembers and rewards. So Lord will never forget the devotee's service. So all we need to do is prepare for death by devotional practice, by devotional service. So desire, we have to work on our desires because that is the only asset of the living entity. We cannot lay claim on anything except the desire. Everything else is fulfilled by material energy. Everything else is borrowed from material energy. But the only thing that we can have is the desire. And if we have the right desire, Krishna will fulfill and provide the medium to fulfill our desires to go back to him. So there is this prayer in Mukund Mala Stotra. Kulashekar Alvar is praying this beautiful prayer. मन जन्मनः च फलमिदं मधुकैटभारे मत्प्रार्थनीय मदनुग्रह एष एव तद्भृत्य भृत्य परिचारक भृत्य भृत्य भृत्यस्य भृत्य इति मां स्मर लोकनाथ. So Kulashekar Alvar is praying that man janmana phalamidam, that all the devotional service that I have done to you, the उसका फल क्या चाहिए मुझे, वो सब फलित होगा. So whatever I have done, the seeds of bhakti which I have sown in terms of my devotional service, what is the phal, the fruit I am interested in? When we do some activity, we are interested in the fruit, right? So he is saying, I am doing this devotional service, the fruit which I am interested is very interesting. Tad bhritya bhritya paricharaka bhritya bhritya bhrityasya bhritya iti mam. So 7 times bhritya. I want to be servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of your servant. 7 times. But no, he is not just saying I want to be the servant of the servant of the servant of the. He is saying I want you to remember me as a servant of the servant 7 times. मतलब मैं अपने आप को सर्टिफिकेट नहीं देना चाहता कि मैं सर्वेंट ऑफ द सर्वेंट हूं, मुझे आपसे सर्टिफिकेट चाहिए. दैट इफ समवन आस्क्स यू कि ये कौन है, ओ ही, and Lord immediately says he is a servant of the servant of the servant of the servant 7 times of my servant. So I want you to remember me as that. मैं जितनी भी भक्ति किया है, I will not consider कि वो फलित हुआ, I will not consider that is complete, that is fulfilled unless when you certify me that I am the servant of the servant of the servant of your servant. What a sweet move. That many times we feel that, oh, I am doing this, so the Lord should give this to me, give me liberation, give me position in the spiritual world. But here the mood of Kulashekar Alvar is that I don't want to even claim that I am a devotee. All I want is that you should feel that I am a devotee of your devotees. And if you think about it, I was just discussing with one of my devotee friends, and I was asking him that why is Kulashekar Alvar saying that I want you to remember me as the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. So he gave a very beautiful insight. He said that when you have a particular service and you have 4 people or 5 people in the ashram, and naturally you will say nahi, inko de do, pakka ho jayega. It's a critical service, important service, you give this is done. Ghode bech ke so jao. So he said Kulashekar Alvar wants the Lord to have such kind of confidence in him. Ki when he sees that a servant of the servant of the servant of my servant is in need, then Krishna immediately remembers Kulashekar Alvar. Oh, if that devotee is in need, then Kulashekar Alvar immediately he will ensure that that devotee gets the help and that devotee is served. Because the Lord's mood is to serve his devotees. Aradhanam api sarvesham Vishnu aradhanam param tasmat parataram devi tadiyanam samarchanam. Of all forms of aradhanas or worship, the topmost is worship of Vishnu. But greater than worship of Vishnu is the worship of the devotees of Vishnu. Right? The greatest worship is worship of Vishnu, but greater than that is worship of the devotees of Vishnu. So the greatest devotee is not the devotee of Vishnu, greatest devotee is the devotee of Vishnu. And Kulashekar Alvar wants to be recognized as such a devotee of the devotees of Lord Vishnu. So similarly, in this verse, the devotee is wanting the Lord to remember him, his service, but we should understand that it should not be in a mood ki, oh Bhagwan, yaad hai na kitna kiya, abhi aur mat ragdana hai. Ek aur bar life, I don't want to struggle again in this material world. No, the devotee is praying that even if I have to take birth again, let me be the servant of your servant. So in that mood, the prayer is being offered. And the Varaha Puran gives a very beautiful verse where Lord Varahadev tells Bhumi Devi, his own wife, Bhumi, he's telling यदि वादादि दोषेण मद भक्तो माम न च स्मरेत अहम स्मरामि मद भक्तम नयामि परमाम गति. कि at the time of death, because of vata vikar, because cough, because of all the other imbalances in the body, one will not be in a position to remember anything, not to speak of me. So Krishna says, but don't worry, aham smarami. I will remember my devotee and bring him to me. So we need not have any doubts about this. All we need to do is to develop that desire to serve the Lord and serve the devotees of the Lord. So that's the conclusion of this particular verse. And okay, yes, Sonal Mataji, you want to ask something?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhuji, regarding this thing that you said that at the time of death, our next body is decided according to the thoughts and desires that we have at the time of death. Then, how much role does the karmas play? Where is it for the next body? Like, if that's the only thing, then where does all the past life karmas, where do they come into?
So, karmas, like basically you have karma and swabhav. These two things are there. Swabhav is the impressions that you have accumulated in terms of your desires, your impressions, all of that in the chitta which are stored. That is the subtle aspect of your fuel for next life. And then the karma is, which is also connected to, because your actions have been based on your past desires. Your past actions were basically an outcome of your past desires. So ultimately, even if you look at actions, actions were nothing but manifestation of your desires. So ultimately, the bottom line is desires, past or present desires. So basically, even if I say whatever is your desires at the time of death, that also means that the resultant action, which is a resultant of your previous desire. But ultimately, it is a desire which is the only asset of the living entity. Because as I said, even the ability to act on those desires is given by material energy, by the sanction of the Lord. Right? So it is the desires ultimately, as we understand. But technically speaking, yes, the karma and the swabhav both together are considered. But karma is nothing but manifestation of our desires. Yes.
Okay, bro.
Someone say does a commits a theft, right? So that one will get a reaction of that theft, but before that theft actually happened, one desired for stealing. So actually it begins there. That's the root of that action. काल कर्म गुणाधीनो देहोयम पंच भौतिक. जो ये देह है, पंच भौतिक जो देह है, वो किसके अधीन है? काल, कर्म और गुण. जो गुण है स्वभाव है. स्वभाव लाइक बेसिकली इज द सटल गुणस जिससे वो स्वभाव आपका बना है, और कर्म जो एक्शंस आपने किए हैं. एंड बोथ ऑफ दीज बेस्ड ऑन योर द काल शक्ति. द काल शक्ति बेस्ड ऑन योर कर्म एंड स्वभाव, इट orchestrates you to receive reactions. Okay, so anything else? Everything, like I shared the model question paper, so almost 80% of the question paper you already know. Yes, Kajal Mataji, you want to ask?
Yes, Prabhuji. I wanted to request you to send us the whole PDF because I want to make it a spiral book out of it, so that I can refer before the exam.
Yes, I'll do that.
The whole PPT, because previously you have shared the partial, not the, because we have just come to end. So I want to please.
Yes, I'll share that complete PDF.
Okay, thank you so much.
Print it.
Thank you.
Prabhuji, what time will the exam be on 16th? Because the online ones, how will they be giving?
So so first of all, means I hope everyone is okay with exam on 16. Yes, ready?
Prabhuji, it is
No,
a humble
Yeah,
request
yes,
if can postpone by 1 week.
1 week, yes,
Huh?
Prabhuji, please.
Actually,
One more
Prabhuji,
week.
even I am not available on 16th. So, is it possible to be like in the coming week?
Yes,
See,
Prabhuji, please.
any time we do exam, na, there'll always be request of 7, 8 devotees who will not be able to attend and appear on that time. And it's a perennial thing. You can't do anything about it because, but we have to have the exam on one date, and then I can then take care of the rest. जो भी 6-7 लोग हैं. Try as many as possible that you do on 16th November, 2 to 4:30. Yes, Manji. 3 to 5:30. Yes.
Hare Krishna,
Um,
Prabhuji.
yeah, so here the devotee is asking that you remember. Oh Lord, please remember. So, please remember our attendance.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Okay, Mother, you want to ask something online? Please.
Yes, Prabhuji, it will be an online exam or we have to come to the temple?
If you can come here, you will get the feeling of writing, in person. Otherwise, you have to write on using pen and paper. No, digital submissions. It is supposed to be a pen and paper exam, and that physical sheets have to come to me, so you can write on A4 sheets. Those who come here, they will be provided with sheets. Otherwise, you have to arrange on your own. And yeah, so if you come, that will be better. But otherwise, even if you do online, so you will have to keep the camera on, and we'll be sitting here 2 to 4:30 to see that. 3 to 5:30. 3 to 5:30.
And then how will we submit if it is online? We have to send you the PDF. We have to mail you
You
the
can
PDF.
courier to us, or you can, whenever you are coming in a next week or sometime, you can personally submit.
Okay, okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, I stay in Vadodara, so obviously I will not be coming, so I have to courier it.
Yeah, you can courier. You can courier.
Okay,
Huh? No, it won't be an open book. Matlab, even if you open the book, it's the same thing. But you have to do a closed book exam. No. But even if ऊपर वाला सब देखता है, the real CCTV is there.
Prabhuji, one more question. That को जो इंग्लिश में जो हम श्लोक लिखते हैं उसके ऊपर जो डैश होता है और एक स्लैश लाइन रहती है, that all will be taken into consideration?
No, even if you don't know, even if you don't know about how to put the diacritic marks, that's okay. You can just basically you can directly write. जैसे अपना कृष्णा को KRSNA with dots की जगह KRISHNA you can write. It is fine. So we are not going to evaluate based on diacritics. Just the verse you should know.
Okay.
Just 2 verses.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just sharing the question paper on the screen so that there is.
Prabhuji, the devotees who are not able to give the exam on 16th, they will give the next week of 16th.
You can message me personally. मैं आप लोगों का एग्जाम पहले करा दूंगा.
Not before. After, later, Prabhuji.
नहीं, before 16 we will have to do for those who are not able to do on 16.
Okay, Prabhuji.
You are able to see the
Yes, Prabhuji.
Word document?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so the first MCQs 10 marks जो MCQs के हैं, so there will be 4 options, one will be correct. So for that there won't be any question bank. At least that part will be a surprise element. Okay, that's okay. Okay, short answer question I have already given 17 or 18 questions. So out of those 10 questions will come in exam. So you have to write 3 to 4 sentences. So from different purports the questions have been made. Then writing verse and translation of invocation and mantra 1 that you can do. And the 5 sections, you know, Ishopanishad will be divided into 5 sections. So basically write the heading of that section, and then underneath the translation of each, the summary translation of each verse. Nahin, summary, for example, section.
Prabhuji, please can you give one example, please, Prabhuji?
Yeah. So you have section 1. Section 1 is live in harmony with Ishwar, verse 1 to 3. So you write 1 to 3, living in harmony with Ishwar. And then underneath that, verse 1, what does it say? That Ishawasamidam Sarvam, that this entire creation, the Lord is the supreme proprietor. Yeah, wow. So you can write that verbatim or whatever, just to paraphrase that, and I'll let me complete. So you can paraphrase that verse 1, and one should not encroach on what has been proportioned for others. Just write the paraphrase, that understanding has to be there. Concept, I want the concept to come through. Then second verse, if one lives like this, one can continue to live for hundreds of years. That is the second. And third verse, then you have to write that. Otherwise, one, what is that, Mataji? Yes.
Soul killer.
Next slide. Yeah. So basically, verse 1, 2, 3 तीनों का summary translations आप लिख दीजिएगा. Okay, and that takes care of the fourth question. So you already know question 2, 3, and 4. Just पहला question एक surprise element है. Now, as far as part B is concerned, the case study is part of it. So the case studies and personal application questions. So case studies will be, as I said, there will be a social, economic, environmental, institutional problem, or a philosophical problem, like someone, as I said, you meet a certain person who presents a certain concept, which you have to break down based on Ishopanishad, philosophical axioms. That in the light of Ishopanishad, how will you explain to that person the truth, right? So something like that, a case study will be there, or a social issue, maybe hunger, maybe poverty. How based on Ishopanishad you can address that. So here, how you apply Ishopanishad in different contexts, in a philosophical, in environmental, or social context, how do you apply it? Or maybe some case study pertaining to ISKCON as an institution. So we'll see. There will be 3 case studies, and you have to attempt only 2 of them. Make sense? हो जाएगा? 10 marks each.
How long should these answers be?
Yes, word count will be, I think, you can write two pages at least. Not 1.5, 2 pages. You can write maybe 1,000 words, up to 1,000 words. And for the personal application questions, you here for your personal sadhana, personal spiritual dealings as a devotee, what do you learn from Ishopanishad, and how do you want to, how will your process of your practice of sadhana bhakti change or evolve based on Ishopanishad principles? As a sadhaka, as a seeker, as a devotee, so it's in your personal life. How does? Yes. So there will be 2 again. 2 out of 3 questions you have to do. But right now, this question will be incomplete unless you start thinking from right now. Start thinking about it, that as a devotee, as an individual, what Ishopanishad, like in the light of this knowledge, how should my thinking, feeling, willing, behavior change? How should my sadhana get enriched based on Ishopanishad's teachings? So let's see if immediately you can think of something. Yes, curating our desires. Okay, yeah, so there's so many things, like if you start thinking about it in light of all of this Ishopanishad principles, reducing our possessiveness, the more we become possessive of things of this world, positions of this world, the more we become more implicated, entangled, and the more our sadhana takes a toll, because while we are doing our sadhana, our attachment is not there, our attachment is somewhere else. So in various ways we could benefit by reflecting and contemplating on these principles, not just as philosophical truths, but as things which can enrich our bhakti. Mati, you were asking a question.
Prabhuji,
Yes, you are meant to write it, Yes, Mataji, you were asking something?
Prabhuji, in part B, can it be open book? Because because we don't know the questions, what
तो बुक में जो भी है ना, आपने वैसे पार्ट ए में सब लिख दिया है. So you can take the part A first, write the part A. Part A में सारे translations हैं. आप जितनी बार देखना चाहें, you can see and write. But it won't help even if you had the book, because this is reflection, contemplation, which you have to do now. Start now, of thinking about, like right now, from now, when you are walking, going somewhere, traveling, just doing routine activities, start thinking about it. That let this knowledge just not be a passive knowledge that you just remember the verses, the sections. Let it become an active knowledge. Start engaging with these verses. Let's start engaging with these verses, thinking about how should, in the light of this, how should my dealings improve with devotees, right? Becoming more generous, knowing that, okay, I am meant to be a servant of the servant of the servant, not stake claim and proprietorship over things and positions, right? Let me use everything that I have to serve others. So this is what actually it means to understand Ishopanishad. So in different ways you can do your own contemplation, and there's no one answer कि ऐसा नहीं है कि सब गैंग मिलके कि consensus से best answer निकाल लिया और लिख दिया chat GPT से पूछ के. No, if we see that there is repetitions of answers, all the stereotyped answers, no. You have to ask yourself individually.
So, Prabhuji, these case studies, will we have to select them, right?
There will be 3 case studies. You have to pick any 2.
So,
and answer in 2.
So then we cannot do, how can we contemplate? We don't know what case studies will be given.
So personal application में तो you can start contemplating now, and even otherwise मैंने context आपको बताया, social context, philosophical context, environmental, institutional. So you can from today, that this is a process. It's not that just to answer those questions we are giving this question. We are giving this question to trigger that thinking. So that thinking has to be triggered. If I give the question, तो वो question का answer करके आपका बंद हो जाएगा thinking. We want that thinking to start and then continue. Wherever you see, that is called, if you remember the first class we discussed about Shastra Chakshu. That Ishopanishad का चश्मा हमें लग जाना चाहिए. Remember we discussed the mind, the monkey of the mind. वृंदावन के बंदर हैं, चश्मा चुरा के चले जाते हैं. तो हमारा मन का बंदर है, ये शास्त्र का चक्षु जब हम क्लास में बैठते हैं तब हम लगाते हैं, अरे हाँ यार सही बोल रहे हैं, यही तो है, दिस इज द मटेरियल वर्ल्ड, दुखालय शाश्वतम. बाहर जाते हैं, बिलबोर्ड देखते हैं, बंदर पीछे से आके चश्मा निकाल के मन का चला गया, हम शास्त्र भूल जाते हैं. So we need to constantly practice this to again and again, put again the spectacle, to see things based on the perspective of the scriptures. So these case studies and personal application questions are meant for that. And more than all of you, I will benefit by reading those application contemplations. So you like you all were entertained at my cost. Now I will get entertained. Spiritual entertainment. Thank you all very much for staying through for this course. One more class and then we will continue. So 16th, 3 to 5:30. And those who want to, you can't do during that time. So we will conduct it before 16th. So you can drop a message to me, WhatsApp to me. Then I will organize a time. So I am saying 2.5 hours. I'll correct it immediately. बोर हो जाएंगे आप 3 घंटा बैठ के.
But I guess Prabhuji, जो personal application और वो case studies में we will take a long time to contemplate upon this. So I guess 3 hours तो लगेंगे प्रभु. 2.5 hours कम पड़ेगी.
Let's see. Maybe आप लोग 1.5 घंटे में भी एग्जाम करके निपट जाएंगे.
Okay.
Yes, you can get up and go. If you are done in 1.5 hours, 2 hours, you can go. Yes, you don't want me to be there. Then you will have to become the invigilator. You will have to become the examiner. I'll see. I'll try to be there. I'll try to be there if I'm wrong.
So where we have to get assembled there in the same room where you're giving the lecture?
Yes, it is Lakshmi Narayan Hall. You can be
Lakshmi
here.
Narayan. Okay.
And means if it is difficult to come, you can do online. But you have to keep the video on. Yes. Okay. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Ishopanishad ki jai. Shri
Hare Krishna,
Prabhupada ki
Prabhuji.
jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Dandavat pranam.
Krishna.